Welcome along to the EXFL Tier 2 Season 9 Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. We're here in Emilia for round 6 of 22 in Season 9 of EXFL Tier 2. 15 drivers currently ready to do battle in a 50% race. Now make it 16 as Ben joins. But first off, we have the 18-minute qualifying session to determine the grid. The only person who might not be showing up is Tom, who said he will, but anyway, we'll just wait for him to respond. As for now, some returns. Carbro reserving in the McLaren. He's back on track, and it's great to see him back in the league. We'll see what he can do today. A track which he has raced at a couple times. Yeah, done well over 50 races approaching, or just gone past. So we'll see what he can do. Warren got some points last time out in China. A brilliant career best. P4 on the grid for the Haas driver. It was great to see him perform up there. Frosty Life back in the Red Bull after missing a couple weeks, as both Williams are in front of him. We'll get to that soon as Ben gets in his car. Ridian in the Ferrari. Don't know if it could be his last race today. There are some talks, but hopefully not. As he's in that striking Ferrari up in the standing, so hopefully he'll get some more points on the board. Chaz F1 then returns in EXFL Tier 2 in the Williams at Imola, and I'm sure he can deliver quite a good race. He's definitely showing potential in his time trial times to be in the fight like he was a year ago. Hughes Morgan, last week's race winner, 3-time winner in EXFL Tier 2 now, a season after he got his first win right here in Imola. Let's see what he can do. The closest challenger to first in the World Championship. Ben94, winner of the Japanese Grand Prix. Missed out last week, is back this time round. And speaking of back, the stud, Josh Hewitt, back in the RB as he transformed from AlphaTauri to RB. He's back with Seb, and this is his first race of the season. 101 points trailing his teammate. But if we know Josh, he's not going to give up. And he returns to Imola with 16 rounds to go to see what he's made of and give it his all. We got Drifting, who scored his first points of the season last time out in China. Drifting in front of Josh, who I don't know if he's on a lap or not. But we got Bluey as well in the second Williams, having a teammate now. We got Rosia in the second Kick Sauber, looking to get some more points on the board. Nathan also looking to get some more points on the board. 13 so far. It's been a good run for the Aston Martin driver and World Championship leader. The driver who's finished on the podium in every race so far this season. And looking to break a record today for the most podiums in a row in EXFL Tier 2 history. He's currently on 7, and that is the record equaling. Can he get an 8th today? It is Seb, the one and only championship leader at the moment. Currently with 21 points ahead of Morgan. We've got Eggy in the Mercedes. Has had some bad luck so far this season, but has showed promise to reflect signs of his true pace from last season before it dropped a little. And hopefully he's back in Imola to demonstrate more of that. We've got Oren, who got a podium last time out, has been on pole this season, who is one of the biggest surprises on the grid, whether he's going to be right up there or in the fight or not at all. So it's a great chance to see what he's made of as Chaz F1 sets the outright pace, 1.1 seconds clear of Carbro as well as Ridian. And then the final return, Small Nick, after getting his maiden win in Las Vegas last season, he took a bit of a break, couldn't attend some races. He's back now, reserving in the Red Bull, and yeah, he was a Haas driver last year along with Callum, so let's see what he can do. 16 drivers then, let's get into it. Chaz F1 1.1 ahead of Carbro. Yeah, I was assuming Ridian was on mediums, and he is. Eggy on mediums as well. Bluey on the soft. Drifting on the inters. And Josh, I think, might be going again, or he's just finishing a lap. Yeah, he is. He's coming across the line. It's a 1 minute 15.7. 3.5 tenths off Chaz, but on the mediums, solid lap from the RB driver. Warren currently on an out lap. Seb currently on a lap, but invalidated on the medium run. So he's going to have to go again, get out the way of two cars approaching him from behind us. Nick flicks it into the second chicane on the soft compound tyres. 24 flat for the Red Bull driver. as Eggy now goes P3. Also on the mediums, right next to Josh. So it's good pace showing from the Mercedes driver so far. Warren just began his lap then. So riding on board with the Haas driver into the first chicane. Looking a little tentative, and that is unfortunately an invalidation. Took way too much of the inside curb there. As Frosty Life now begins his lap. Still ride on board with him, clocking 200 mile an hour through the kinks. But this is the real turn one you have to worry about. Into the left-right. And he gets caught on that curb. Not the greatest and cleanest first few corners for the Red Bull driver. But now he has another chance to flick it into another left-right chicane. And he's done that better to the end of the first sector. 24.6, so 6/10 off what Small Nick was doing as he's coming across the line. And he puts it P2. So that's still a really good lap from Chaz to be a quarter of a second clear. Anyway, we'll look back to Frosty Life. 24.6 then in the first sector, navigating his way through the tight, twisty turns of the Emilia Romagna circuit, finishing the middle sector at 50.5 as he heads through the final chicane. As Oren now just dips it under a tenth behind Chaz F1. Small, fine margins, and it's great to see as he has now just 2 corners remaining. Does the Red Bull? If he can put this anywhere in the top 5, he's definitely got some solid pace. He's kept it within track limits. And he keeps a short run up to the line. It's going to be a 15.9 to put him... Oh, he's invalidated. I didn't even realise. What about Morgan then? 24.3. 3/10 off what Nick was doing, which put him third. So he's going to need a better middle sector. 50.5 was Frosty Life's. He's 50.2, so 3/10 quicker in both the first and middle compared to Frosty. But of course, he invalidated. Warren's also invalidated. Ben94 starting his lap. Erosia invalidated as well. So we'll see what last week's race winner can do. The runner-up in the championship at the moment. Round the final corner. That you have to worry about anyway. For the Alpine. Across the line then. A 15.3 is the time to beat. It's a 15.6 to put himself on the second row for now. So the standout time is... Did Chaz... Hang on. Interesting. Chaz did that lap on softs, but he's gone out on mediums now. Fair enough. As Oren starts another lap. Wow, so the standout time is from Oren then. On mediums, he's done that kind of time. He's had 1 pole already this season. Maybe he could be in for an X. There's just that camera angle where they just swoop left and it will just stick. As he's up by pretty much 1,000th off what he needs to get Chaz on the mediums again. So Oren showing great pace around the circuit as Morgan takes to the grass there. Drifting, I think he's currently on another run because 3.8 seconds on the inter run. Not going to do him well by the end. So that's 10 times on the board. Still waiting for Ben94. He's just in the first sector now. What can drifting do then? 9/10 up, 24.1. Solid first sector for the Alpine driver then. We'll look back to Ben. What can he do? 25.3. That's about 1.2 seconds off. Erosia heads out the pit lane. Still waiting on Nathan. Seb's back on an outlap as he flicks it into the first few corners, exiting the pit lane. And we'll see what Oren can do then. He's dipped it into under 50 seconds for the middle sector. Crosses the line and takes provisional pole away from Chaz with a 15.1 on the mediums. So pole might just dip into the 14s. But yeah, great lap from Oren. As Nick exits the pit lane. And Josh Hewitt now is about to begin his lap, I think. Yes, he is. As Eggy just in front of him. As across the line, drifting by 3,000ths. Goes onto the front row and just misses out on Oren's time. But that is on the softs compared to Oren's mediums. Good lap though from drifting. We'll see what Ben94 can do. As he may have invalidated. And he might have to go again. Eggy, 84,000 up in the first. Oh, but invalidates. Really unfortunate for him. Josh has also invalidated. Yeah, track limits are going to be a big thing in this Grand Prix. They are every season. And if there is some kind of safety car towards the end, the winner could generally just be decided on who's been the best and kept within the track boundaries. Seb has just began his lap then. Bit wide there through the second chicane. It's a 24.2, so he's lacking about 2/10 to the quickest first sector. That's Seb, the championship leader, currently last at the moment. One of 6 drivers yet to set a time. Erosia into the first few corners. Ben has backed off. Frosty exiting the pit lane, and Warren about to begin a lap. Ridian as well. 24.4 has found over a 10th and a half. Carber on the mediums invalidated. Eggy doesn't... Well, it looks like he's pushing. We'll see at the first sector what it's like. It's a 24.3. He's 1,000th down on his time. Josh going again. Laps happening everywhere as Nick begins his next run. Chaz, his best time is still his first, and it's only put him just over a 10th and a half off. So we'll see what Seb can do then. 50.1 across the line. This could put him 4th across the line. It's P1 all of a sudden for Seb. He's the first into the 14s. And while the first 2 sectors didn't reflect that kind of pace, he must have had a mega final sector to pull out that sort of lap time. Seb, championship leader, pulling out the stops again. Nick, invalid in the first sector. Josh keeping it valid through the middle sector, but I believe, yeah, he's not on a run. Ridian into the pit lane. What about the Saubers? 52.1. Ben's currently lacking a bit of pace. As second, third, and fourth in the pit lane. Nick's invalidated. Josh will head back into the pit lane. 6 minutes left. A third of the session remains. So I'll just pull up the standings real quick. So if Ridian can get a podium today, he moves to third in the standings. Erosia next, then Oren, then Ben, then Frosty, then Billy's not racing. Sven, yeah, big opportunity to score some points. It's around the final corner for Carbro. That's invalidated, but it wasn't even on a proper run anyway. Small Nick as well. Will he continue round? He might go again. Put up the poles for this season as well. Right, so Morgan, who took pole in the opening round. Oren, who took pole in Saudi. Seb, who had back-to-back poles in Australia and Japan. And then Morgan, who had his second pole of the season last time out in China. We've had 3 different pole sitters so far, and all of them are in the top 6. Will we get a 4th, or will we get a repeat? Chaz is in the mix. Drifting's in the mix. Nick is in the mix. Didn't quite see his first sector. And you never know with Tier 2. There could be some surprise right at the end. Seb's lap was certainly surprising. Frosty also hasn't set a lap time. And is currently down in P14. Well, Warren then across the line. No, he's heading into the pit lane. Bluey, 2.3 seconds down in the first sector. And it doesn't look like he's pushing. So, who can challenge Seb then? His teammate Josh, currently down in 7th. I believe he spun on his first run and obviously invalidated on his next attempt. In between that. Nick now heading into the pit lane, so all of the top 10 are in. But they'll start to emerge out the pit lane one by one. First up is Carbro. Bluey now heads in, so only 2 cars out on track. The Aston of Nathan and the McLaren of Carbro as everyone else gears up for the final runs. So this is the grid at the moment, but it could all well and change in the next few minutes. See what Nathan can do. If he can get a top 10 start, I think he would be very happy with that. As the Aston Martin just gets the temperature in, gets ready to set off for his final run. As is Carbro. And yeah, it could literally go to any one of these guys. Anyone's in the fight. As the Haas of Warren is out next, followed by the Ferrari of Ridian. Right, here we go then with Nathan, starting his lap as he's got a few cars in front of him coming out the pit lane, but it shouldn't be too much of a bother. Through the kinks and into the first chicane of 3. Taking it very nicely indeed. little bit cautious because he might know this is going to be his only run, so a lap time will mean something considering he's one of the 4 not to set one yet. Through the second chicane, a little bit of understeer on exit into the hairpin. Currently about a second down, but that would still put him maybe up into the top 10. Navigating his way now through the second sector, keeping it well within track limits. Now through the tight and twisty corners, so easy to invalidate on exit. Keeps it fine. Looking at a 50-second middle sector, he's currently about 1.6 down. It's on the cusp as he heads through the final chicane, if whether he is going to get this into the top 10, or will it be P11 currently. As Warren now begins his lap. And it seems like Oren will be the last car over the line as we have 2 minutes remaining. You can see the Aston Martin round the final corner and the other Aston Martin exiting the pits. So what can Nathan do? Is it good enough for the top 10 or will it be P11? It is P11 for the Aston Martin of Nathan. As behind him, drivers now embarking on their final runs. As Oren does exit the pits now. He will be the last car over the line and hoping not to get in anyone else's way as Chaz has begun his lap, seeing Oren right in front of him. Into the first chicane then. Doesn't quite hit the apex there. And Chaz has unfortunately lost out there. As we see, is that Ridian also off? So Ridian as well on his final run has also messed it up. So P10 at best for him. And it seems like P4 might be the best for Chaz as well. Unless he can get round and do another run. Drifting. Going through the first couple corners now as well. Took that much better. So we'll see what he can do at the end of the first sector. Bit of dust, that's going to be a bit of an eyesore for him, but can he improve? Yes, he is. He's into the 23s. Could we see drifting on pole for the first time in EXFL Tier 2? What about Seb? He's crossing the line. Josh Hewitt will start no higher than 7th for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Eggy's found a 10th. Carbro, he's about to finish the first sector too. A little bit of a slide out of the exit, but he's down on time. Ben 94 has retired. So has Warren, 13th and 14th. Frosty, what about his first sector? 24-2, not bad. Horosia also embarking. As Oren will cross the line in a few seconds' time. Seb is invalidated, so it's up for grabs for drifting, who's also into the 49.8s. He's finding the time. And can anyone else throw a shocker? Currently, drifting has it. Round the final couple corners. Can drifting, for the first time in EXFL Tier 2, get on pole position? Oh, he's missed out by 58 thousandths. But it's the front row. A great lap nonetheless for the Alpine driver. And now we see who's next to challenge. Eggy crosses the line. It's P7 for him. Knocks Josh down a place. Carvro crosses the line, invalidated. So we'll see what Frosty Life can do. His one and only attempt. It's going to be a 1 minute 15.6 to put himself on the third row for Red Bull. And Morgan puts himself P5 to drop Red Bull both one place down. What about Horosia then? To cross the line, it's P11. And now, there's just one driver left on the track who can deny Seb pole position. And it's the other driver who's had pole position this season. Morgan P5, Chaz P4 on return. Good stuff from him. Drifting currently a career best P2. But Oren may snatch that front row from him. He may snatch pole from Seb. A 14.9 is the time to beat. Oren crosses the line. And by 1,000th of a second, Oren has taken pole position. Can you believe it? The fine margins, and it couldn't have got any closer. Oren is on pole for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix by 1,000th. Two poles for Seb, 2 poles for Morgan, 2 poles for Oren, and that is the best of the lot. Wow, what a quali. And what a grid. Last season in Brazil, Seb took pole for Morgan by 1,000th. And not even, 8 races later, it's happened again. This is what he does. Oren, what a lap. Bravo. The only 2 in the 14s, and they just got it. And Oren, by the skin of his teeth, claimed it. So there we have it. Oren takes his second pole of the season. Didn't exactly work out the first time. Finished, what, 8th? 9th in Saudi. Hopefully he can get a better start. Then Seb drifting P3. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. Chaz on return P4. I'm sure he'll be wanting a bit more, but at least it's a good result. Morgan completes the top 5, and then the 2 Red Bulls follow. Sunny Imola. No rain, which was actually a bit of a surprise. Whew. Wow. What a race we have in store. What is it, 32 laps? There's really only one place you can overtake, and that is into, quote-unquote, the first corner with the DRS. Any other place, maybe the hairpin, maybe into the second last corner. They're going to be risky moves, but I'm sure a few of them will be there for it. Right, here we go then. They've confirmed their strategies, their fuel loads, final setup tweaks, and we are ready to go racing in Imola. Oren on the left, Seb on the right, the 5 lights go on, and when they go out, we're away here in Imola with Oren leading away from Seb, sliding away, then drifting and Chaz embarking the second row. It's going to be Seb versus Oren into turn 1 then. Who's going to lead out? Oren with the inside line. Can Seb hang it around the outside? He's going to try, but he's run out of road. Oren hangs on to the lead, and they've all managed to stay facing forward. So all 16 embark into the second chicane. Oren, then Seb, then drifting. Chaz, the top 4 stay as they are. Same with Morgan, same with Nick. As Frosty's lost a couple places to Eggy and Josh gaining as round the outside. Josh trying to get a move done as there is a yellow at the back of Bluey. Oren then has got the job done, and he's hold on to the lead for now in front of Seb. Drifting Chaz, Morgan, Eggy and Nick battling away for 6th and 7th, as it seems like Nick has held on, but Eggy's still there. Josh down the inside of Eggy, trying to make some moves, and he's got the place. He's gone off a bit though, and he gets up in the 7th. Eggy, then Frosty, Erosia completes the top 10, then Ridian, Carbro, Nathan, Warren, as down the inside goes the Ferrari on the Sauber and the McLaren, and Aston Martin fighting as well, as Ben 94 just hangs onto the back of this, and Bluey causing some yellows as Chaz and drifting go wheel to wheel through the final few corners, and Chaz gets the place. He's up into the top 3 now before we complete the opening lap, but he's got 2 angry Alpines right behind him, looking to nick back the place, and drifting, and Chaz so close to contact and connecting into the wall as Morgan is in the slip of this, and will drifting try and go back round the outside of Chaz. Chaz breaks later, drifting has it round the outside, just enough room to get in front, but through goes Morgan as there is contact between drifting and Chaz. No one wanted to leave any more room than they barely already gave, and now it allows Morgan to gain the places on the pair of them, as is Nick, drifting down to 5th, Chaz down to 8th. So Eggy gains from that. Josh is up to 6th after not having the greatest of getaways. Drifting will have to try and get back past Nick. And yeah, Morgan is free to chase after the top 2. So the top 3, the only pole sitters this season, is going wide. There is Nick. And Drifting, who didn't exactly have the greatest racecraft in China with overtakes, will hopefully do better this time. But Josh is right on the back of him too. And we know how Josh does like a little send sometimes. But he's holding off for now. Nick seems to be struggling. Of course, he's on the hard compound tyres. Biggest gainer at the moment, 5 places, is Warren. And to the inside, drifting. Can't quite get the move done. The only soft runner. Ridian is down the inside. Speaking of the Ferrari, barges his way in front of Frosty. So, are we going to see a swap for the lead here? Seb to the inside. Seb takes the lead away from Warren with the DRS. But like it was in China, it could be a DRS game for the win. Josh now up to 5th in front of Drifting. And will he try the inside? No, it's one at a time for the RB driver. As there is a bit of a train from Morgan all the way down to Chaz. Well, all the way down to Carbro, really. Now all the way down to Chaz. It's over a second between him and Ridian, under pressure from Frosty Life. As Josh now gets in front of Small Nick, who's spun round. Pretty much done a Perez there. Unfortunately, he's lost it at the second chicane, which has dropped him all the way down to 14th as Ben pitted. So 3 of the 4 hard runners now in the bottom 3. The other hard runner actually is Morgan. So that's a great start, considering his tyres. Everyone else on mediums, apart from Ridian, on the softs. So he's looking to also make some moves. So there has been a bit of arches and barges and a few collisions, but so far so good for most of them. And Oren just has to make sure he sticks with Seb. Chaz gets the first time penalty of the race. Not the start he would have wanted, as going off there is Warren trying to hang on to the train. Josh Hewitt over a second behind Morgan, who's showing some good race pace considering how much battery he has still, and he's looking to close in on these guys. If there's no safety car, don't discount Morgan. As Josh now blasting a bit of his battery to keep in front of Drifting, who has the exact same amount. Eggy's used a bit more, Chaz a bit more than him, and Ridian closing in, but these four are barely separated by anything. Chaz does have a bit of a run on Eggy, but can he get the momentum to send it on the inside? He's going to stay behind for now, as he's all over the back of Drifting too. Will he have a send into the hairpin? Little slide, so I don't think so. As yeah, Chaz and Drifting went wheel to wheel through the final couple corners and the first, and it unfortunately ended with contact that connected them into the grass. As Ben94... Oh wait, that's a Rosier. Not Ben. Ben's up to 11th. Fair on him. So yeah, something happened to a Rosier that he's only just starting lap 4 now. Okay, Morgan gaining, but Josh has got back within DRS nearly. He's going to have to push a bit to keep it. He's 34 now, 1,000th out of it. And every 1,000th counts. It's clearly been demonstrated. And it's literally on the cusp of a second now. So will Josh get the DRS on Morgan, as Chaz has got Eggy? That seemed fair. That seemed clean. That seems like P6 for Chaz F1, who slides out of the penultimate corner. And Josh doesn't have the DRS. Drifting does, though, and he's going to be gaining as Eggy's coming back for more. And he gets back in front of Chaz. And will Chaz break later around the outside? Yes, he will. Eggy's going to have to leave him some space, which he does. And Chaz gets back in front with probably the 4th slide in one lap. Good racing between the pair of them. Good, fair space left from Eggy. But yeah, now there is a 5-car train. A spinning round is Josh Hewitt. And the second driver to go at that corner is another one of the Red Bull family. As Frosty has got back ahead of Ridian. So that was coming. As I don't know if the softs have already worn off. If they have, yikes. So yeah, unfortunately, Josh Hewitt has also had a spin along with Nick. They're down in 12th and 13th now. As it's an Alpine 3 and 4, as Nick now gets another penalty. Oh, I didn't realise Warren did as well. So yeah, looking good for Morgan, who's gaining, but has made a little mistake there. I think as Eggy now gets a penalty and Warren gets another penalty. I said 3 seconds would be very important to this race, and wasn't kidding. Drifting 1.4 behind his teammate, nearly a second in front of Chaz, and these two have already had one coming together. But Chaz, who dropped down to 8th, is now back up in a 5th. I think 2 spun in front of him, and he got the move on Eggy, so he's making ground, making moves. Yeah, really having to blast a bit more battery to stick with Warren, who I don't think has the pace, also trying to do the same thing. That's going to be a warning for him, as Ridian in front of him looks to keep within a second of Frosty, who's trying to charge on Eggy. And Chaz sticking with the second of Drifting, who's actually closing in a bit on Morgan now. Fair enough, because Morgan has a compound slower, but it might be to help Drifting or not, as we have a yellow. And, oh my god, 3rd time someone's gone off. I think it's Nathan. Probably. Might have been Nick. One of the two. As Josh... It's not over for Josh. There is a bit of a train from 3rd or 4th all the way down to nearly him. He just needs to get back within a second of Carbro. And I'm sure he can do just that. As Oren, he looks closer to Seb. Ever since Seb took the lead away from him, this is the closest he's been. And look at that, Oren's got double the battery as Warren gets a 3rd penalty. And could we see Oren retake the lead from Seb? He'll go to the inside and he will claim P1 again. And this DRS trade is helping them pull away from Morgan, who's lost over a second to these guys. So Oren and Seb trading positions. Oren, who had a pretty underrated race last time out in China. It was actually... Oh, as Warren's gone off there. Unfortunately, has dropped down the order. Yeah, Oren's race last week was actually really underrated. He He spun, got dropped down to 7th or something, was way behind. Yes, there was a safety car to help, but then even with a 3-second time penalty when none of the top 6 had any, he still managed to claim a podium just. As Small Nick now gets a penalty. So we'll flick it to that. And yeah, if any of these two get a penalty, the other's probably going to win. I still wouldn't discount Morgan, but speaking of which, Drifting as well as Chaz have caught up to the back of these Alpine drivers. As Chaz goes off there, I'm going to quickly change my batteries. Hopefully nothing happens. And we're back. Right then, Drifting in the slipstream of his teammate. He's got the DRS and he is through on Morgan. Is Chaz close enough for any sort of move? He looks a bit too far behind. So it looks like the Alpines are going to try and swap between them. But Drifting with that slide isn't helping their cause. And what do you do if you're the front Alpine driver? You stay in front and you hold Chaz up even more. He's all over the back of Morgan. That it makes him lose time as Ridia now gets a penalty. Good save from Chaz not to hit Morgan there as well as go off himself. Drifting cannot tempt himself under the pressure here. He's got to get a move on. And all 3 of them make a mistake there, which brings Eggy and Frosty into it. Ridian's dropped more than a second behind these guys, so the soft's really not working for him. And Ben, who's up into the points now, could claim another place. And I'm sure the Alpines will be swapping as Chaz gets another time penalty. And to be fair, I don't know who's worse at getting penalties between the top 2. Seb has had a few, and Oren does tend to get a few as well. So again, don't discount anyone really. But the gap is now over 4 seconds to the leaders for these guys who are all just fighting for a podium at this rate. But Morgan, I'm sure, will swap with his teammate. Slipstream, we got a yellow of Nathan who's gone off. Yep. As Morgan does get in front of Drifting. Chaz ready to pounce. These two have already had one coming together. Let's hope that's it. Chaz in the slipstream. Drifting just leaves enough space as Josh now gets a penalty and someone else got a penalty. And Chaz, I'm sure, will be looking to gain ground as we got a yellow of the Red Bull now. As oh no, RB, Josh Hewitt, who's gone off again, unfortunately. I think he's also got wing damage. He's lost his right end plate. Yeah, oh, he's lost more than that. As Rosie now gets a 3-second time penalty. A lot of pens, a lot of warnings. The race director is going to be massive. We're not even a third of the way into the race. Seb's now dropped over a second behind Oren. So good race pace from Oren. And it's really on the cusp now. And Seb's using a bit of overtake to make sure he stays within DRS. Which he is. And now they're all a bit separated. 21 points between Morgan and Seb in the standings. At the moment, it will be up to 24. Nearly a win. As, oh, Chaz sliding out there is going to be under pressure from Eggy. Not much battery to use. Eggy's got plenty. So as Josh Hewitt gets another time penalty, Eggy might see himself into the top 5. Goes to the inside with just enough space. Had to go onto the curb to get in front. And does get in front. And now Eggy's into the top 5. It's good pace we're seeing from the Mercedes as Ben now gets in front of Ridian. Those softs wearing out as Carbro will be looking to gain P9 on Ridian as well. It's great to see Eggy in the fight then. But can Chaz get back at him as Josh unfortunately does become the first retirement of the session into the pit lane. Goes the RB. And yeah, if it really is to be Alpine versus RB in the Constructors' Championship, as Warren's retired in the pit lane. No, he hasn't. What's gone on there, then? There is a safety car because Warren is... I don't even know. And that really does change things for it, and I don't think that's going to help Morgan. As yeah, leaders come in, they're going to make sure not to speed because it's a 10-second now, not a 5. As are the Alpines going to stack? Seems like they will. So Eggy's going to be up to 4th now. Chaz in, Frosty in, Ben in. They're all pitting. No one's staying out. As yeah, let's see the Alpines. Morgan goes on to the mediums, drifting, still in the pit lane. He's going to lose out to Chaz. Will he lose out to anyone else? Frosty as well, I think. It's chaos down in the pit lane. Drifting's lost out to 4 cars. Eggy, Chaz, Frosty and Ben. That's how much ground the Alpine has lost out. And just when I was talking about the Constructors' Championship between RB and Alpine, saying at the moment it's pretty much a 2v1 because Josh obviously hasn't scored anything for the team. As well, Morgan. Morgan and Seb are close. It's going to be actually down to see how much drifting can gain. And that is a bit of a blow to his race at the moment. This brings, what, Nick back in? Nick back into it. Bluey, Nathan, Hirosia as well. Changing his front wing. So they're all in a bit of an Aston sandwich with Oren at the front and Nathan at the back. Apparently Warren's wheel died. And I think Josh didn't even know he retired. So yeah, Chaz making his feelings clear with drifting. Oh, just kicked me out of my party. There we go. But yeah, he's still, I think, alright because he's currently 5th. Yes, he has some penalties. As soon as I say that, he's into the pit lane. Is he pitting again? Or maybe mediums can't go the whole way? Oh, did he go medium? Oh no. Oh, he did. Ah, that's really disrupted his race. So both him and drifting have seen a bit of a blow as Nick is in again, I think, and Bluey. I mean, he's gone from mediums to mediums, so interesting. Right. Tyres. Obviously, those who started on the mediums, which was the majority, pitted to hards. Hirosia is on 10-lap-old hards. I know you only get 1 set, I think. But I don't think they're just going to go 30 laps. Well, maybe they can, but they'll be in bad shape. So Bluey at the back is on new mediums. And the only other medium runner is Morgan, who is going to be extremely lucky to get those to the end. But you never know. He'll be quick at the restart. He'll be definitely in the fight with these guys. And if he can pull away, the ideal look at it is always use the tyres, pull away, get the gap. And when they start to die, you've got a big enough gap for when they start to gain on you, they don't gain it all back enough. If it's still a fight in 10 laps time, I don't really see how Morgan can win this. Because, yeah, the DRS is powerful, but it's not like some previous tracks. There's literally only, what? Is there? Is it 2 DRS zones or 1? I forget if there's a DRS zone at the end of the end of the second sector. I don't think there is. No. As they cross the line to start lap 13 under the safety car. Yeah, so far Josh retired, but he said he apparently didn't retire, and Warren, his wheel died and crashed into the pit entry. So we're left with 14. Bluey just about to catch the pack now. Nathan, who's had a bit of a silent race, I think he had a spin. So did Nick, I think once or twice. Chaz, who unfortunately pitted for medium, so he's had to pit for hards now. Hirosia in front of him, who's on the oldest tyres of anyone. Carbro and Ridian, they've just kind of stayed in the 8th, 9th area for the whole race. Ridian, who was started on the softs, gained some ground. Might gain some more, you never know. Drifting, who's lost out. Driver of the race so far, actually, well, most underrated driver of the race so far is Ben94. Started 15th, and he's currently running in 6th. After not showing the greatest amount of pace in qualifying, he's been silently just making moves up the field, gaining when others made mistakes, and he finds himself in 6th, in front of the guy who started 3rd in the race. So, yeah, Frosty as well. No loss of respect there either. Frosty's also made his way up as well after not a great start once again. He's made his way back up into the top 5, and Eggy as well, I think, is the final mention. He's up in 4th at the moment. And I did mention he has been a bit unlucky this season. If he can walk away with a P4, maybe, well, I know he has a penalty, but maybe even a podium, you never know. Top 5, I'm sure he'd be happy with it. But yeah, I think a lot of eyes are going to be on Morgan to see what he can do, as well as Oren and Seb for when they go at the restart. It's early doors still, early days still with these penalties, so Eggy might not be alone with that by the end. Anyway, early doors, early day, yeah, same thing. Oren will now gear up and get ready, and I think he's already gone. So, Oren, who's caught Seb a little bit napping, or maybe a lot, because Morgan's right on the back of his closest championship rival, and now he's going to go to the inside on Seb, who doesn't leave him any space, but Morgan still gets the place, as Seb literally forced him onto the grass there, and Morgan gets in front anyway. That might be talked off as going off there. Horosia on 11 lap-old hards goes off into the first few corners. Don't know why. Oren then leads as Seb, the championship leader, slides into the gravel and drops down the order as Chaz goes to the inside. A little bit of wheel banging, but Seb has the momentum to at least keep hold of 8th. And within the span of half a lap, the championship leader has made a mistake for probably the first time this season, or major one anyway, and has dropped him all the way down to 8th. Eggy finds himself on the podium, but for how much longer? Frosty Life is now to the inside. Frosty Life now takes P3. As Morgan right on the back of Oren as the top 2 streak away from the rest. Ben94 finds himself now in the top 5. Drifting finds himself a place up into 6th. And Ridian under pressure from Seb, who also is going off again. Chaz gets him now as into the gravel for the second time. Seb goes, and he's dropped down to 10th as Carbro now tries to gain on him, as Seb using all his battery as well as Carbro to battle, as well as the top 2. Morgan this time doesn't have to go onto the grass to get the place done. Morgan from P5 takes the lead of the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. And Oren will try his best to keep with Frosty on the podium, then Eggy, then Ben, then Drifting from Ridian, and then Chaz, as it's all gone wrong for Seb, who's going to have to make his way through the pack now. It's on the outside of Carbro. Carbro breaks quite deep, and Seb will try the switchback, and he will get in front. And if he can make this stick, great move from Seb, but Carbro is still there, trying to stick with him onto the grass nearly, as they'll go wheel to wheel. Seb breaks later, goes to the inside, gets the move done. Might have got a warning still, but he's in front. All happening. As if it finished like this, I'm sure Morgan will be very happy. He gains what? As I'll come back to that note as Chaz gets in front of Ridian. That looked like a good move from the Williams driver. As I'm sure it won't stay like this, but he gains 3 points. So if it stays like this, Morgan would take the lead in the championship. 21 points trailing would turn into 2 points in the lead, but of course there are 3 in front of Seb who have penalties. So P6 at best at the moment if he doesn't make another move. Eggy just hanging on to DRS, but Oren takes the lead back from Morgan, so he is sticking with. He's got the race pace, and he's got the will to keep within second and take the lead back. Ben gets in front of Eggy as Seb. Oh, sliding out there is Carbro. Don't know what happened there. Maybe got onto the grass. Seb stays in front there, but Small Nick to the inside, trying to get in front of Seb, and does get in front of Seb. Seb really struggling here, but Nick gets his 4th penalty. This isn't helping the championship leader in terms of his comeback through the field. But yeah, anyway, yeah, Oren has the pace to stick with Morgan, swap with him, and hold out, as he knows those mediums aren't going to last. Ben94 then gets in front of Eggy to find himself from P15 up to P4 as Seb gets back in front of Nick. And I'm sure he'll be angry with how the last couple of laps have destroyed his race a bit, but it's not over as we are only halfway done with the race. And Frosty Life. You never know with Frosty Life. He's actually within a second of the leaders. And Ben, you never know as well, could gain on the Packers. Chaz now, second time he's made a bit of contact with drifting. But this time round, it looks good as Seb now does get a penalty. It was only a matter of time, really. But that time, Chaz got the move done, and I think he'll stick as Morgan retakes the lead from Oren. All happening. This is crazy. Yeah, Chaz did hold off from drifting this time. Ben 94 from P15 is now running in fourth. And you never know. He's unfortunately more than a second behind the next car, so he's going to come under pressure from a few cars behind. But you never know if they battle too much. Frosty is in the fight. He's in with a chance to win this Grand Prix. And where did he start? 6th? 7th? 7th. Yeah, with his teammate. And he didn't have the greatest start. He dropped down to 9th. And now he finds himself on the podium. Oren and Morgan, who have swapped, I think, every lap since Morgan took the lead. These two who were fighting for P8 and P9 when Oren got his first pole. When Oren got his second pole, this time they're fighting for positions they like. And it's P1 and P2. But obviously they both want to finish in the latter. Well, the top. But it's not just them. It's Frosty now, who's used quite a bit of battery to get with these guys. But can now start to save a bit. And still stick with. Oren then gets back in front of Morgan. As Eggy gets back in front of Ben. And will Chaz try something around the outside? Frosty now gets a time penalty. And Ben doesn't leave enough space, in Chaz's opinion. But he still barges his way through. Chaz back up into the top 5, even after making an extra stop. He's showing signs that he is still there. As he approaches 100 races in EXFL Tier 2. This is his 95th. And he does get in front of Ben. Who... It's questionable if enough space was left, but either way, Chaz got in front. Bluey, Morgan now gets a 3-second time penalty, as did Frosty earlier in the lap. So Oren is looking good at the moment, and so is Ben 94 as Ridian gets the second penalty. And you never know about drifting too. It could genuinely be that these three could be your podium: Oren, Ben, and drifting. But if everyone gets a time penalty in the race, it might not matter, because there's 3 left. It's going off there in the background. Seb, as Nick gets his 5th penalty, as Seb, no battery, no DRS. He's really struggling out there, and I really do not know what's happened to in the last couple laps there, really. Anyway, some overtakes are happening, not at the front for the first time in a few laps, but Chaz now finds himself in P4 now. Oh, it looks like someone went off there. Drifting nearly lost it, I think. So Chaz, who was down in P11 after his extra stop because he went medium. So I guess the only benefit is tyres are 1 lap younger, but it doesn't really matter. But he's made the difference. He's made his way through the pack as... Oh, is that Seb again? It is. As Rosia gets past Bluey. Yeah, Chaz has made the difference. And he's up in a P4. This is a great drive from the Williams driver. Frosty all over the back of Morgan. This is for position for these two. As Oren just has to make sure he sticks within 3 seconds of literally the 4 cars behind him. As Eggy looks like he's struggling for pace. He's let Chaz go. Over a second. Chaz now is gaining on the leaders. And yes, Seb, another mistake. He can still claim 9th. But at the moment, the win isn't going to Morgan. That's 7 crucial points he's losing out on. And it might be a further 3 if Frosty gets in front of him. Small Nick, a 6th penalty now. Chaz doesn't have the DRS, unfortunately, but I'm sure you can gain, as Ben does. And he will take the position as Nick has retired in the pit lane. Morgan takes the lead from Oren. Drifting, gets in front of Eggy, who's lost 2 places there. So Ben back up into P5, drifting P6. Eggy drops down to P7, but he's still looking on drifting. But he stays behind for now. Bit of a risky move to go around the outside there as Ridian's all over the pair of Eggy. But he doesn't lose 3 places. I don't know what happened to Carbro, really, when he went off and spun. But he's unfortunately out of the points now. We still have a yellow of Small Nick, who retired, unfortunately. So the most penalties goes to Nathan and Bluey now. That's good timing. As Yeah, Morgan is currently in the lead then. Just about. Just holding off Oren. And then Frosty. And then Chaz, who's certainly going to have DRS now. So it's a 4-car battle. But you know who's going to win this come the checkered flag. And it's the one who doesn't really have to take any risks. But if they battle enough and Ben and Drifting do catch, then there is going to be some issues as Ridian makes it 3 positions lost in the space of a lap for Eggy, unfortunately. He was running in 4th. But now he's at the back of the train in 8th, unfortunately. Yeah, Ridian does have DRS to hold off as Drifting gets in front of Ben, who doesn't have the DRS. So, one by one, these drivers who have made small or big mistakes in the race, they're each showing, well, a lot of them anyway, that it's not over when you make just one mistake and you can come back from it. Examples like Ben, Drifting, Chaz especially, as the top 2 fight. Oren to the inside of Morgan. And, oh no, there's been a collision between Frosty and Morgan. They were all getting too close to one another. And Morgan backed off, let Oren take the lead. And Frosty was on the inside of Morgan. And they touched. Didn't quite really see who was at fault there. Chaz, a 3rd penalty. Ridian, a 3rd penalty. So that promotes Chaz up into 2nd, and it might be the Grand Prix lead. Does Chaz dare to the inside before the straight? Yes, he will. And he takes the lead away from Oren. And does he have DRS to be the cherry on top? Yes, he does. 9 seconds, doesn't matter to the Williams driver. He takes the lead then in front of Oren. And Frosty's left. So that's going to really drop it. I mean, Morgan's going to be really annoyed. The guy who's literally hit him, and now he's not even in the session. Morgan, who finds himself behind his teammate. Drifting's another one of those lot who've made who's got into a bit of trouble in the race, and now finds himself back on the podium as Eggy gets past the ghosted car. This will help Seb, who's 13 seconds behind now. I really do not know how he's lost that much time, as any of the top 8, well, 7, are still in this. Chaz looking to break a 2nd away from Oren. Drifting, who, it's still early doors. We've still got 10 laps to go. And obviously, a lot of people are going to be under investigation, post-race stewarding and all. But we got to take it by the book of the game result at first. And Drifting, who had a chance in Texas last season to get his first win, nevertheless his first podium. He got his first podium, he just unfortunately didn't get the first win because of what happened on the last lap. He is currently in a position, again, as Seb gets another penalty. Drifting is currently in a position, as long as he stays within a 2nd of Oren, to potentially win his first race. As Frosty's back, but the damage has been done. As Ben gets in front of Morgan now, who was leading the Grand Prix, who's now back to where he started. And I'm still saying it, those 3 I pointed out a few laps ago are the podium now. Sliding off there, no drifting, goes off. Oh no, that's Morgan. Morgan's gone off. The top 2 in the World Championship having issues. And it's not just Seb now, it's Morgan too. Crazy scenes at Imola, where you see the top 2 in the standings go from 1st and 3rd to 8th and 9th. What a crazy race. Chaz then hasn't pulled away from Oren, who's still going to stick with him. The DRS detection is here, I think. Oh no, it's the yellow one. It's something like that. That's Morgan 10 set. Oh no. This might be calling it quits for Morgan, who could have still gained on Seb, to be fair. But that's not right what he's doing. Oren then will take the lead back away from Chaz, looking to get his first win in EXFL Tier 2. Ah, that's annoying for Morgan. Really could have gained on Seb still. So, all of this and Seb's still going to pull away. As Ben, 1.1 behind Drifting. Frosty, another penalty. As going off there is Chaz. Another person falls victim to that gravel trap. And Chaz falls from second to fourth, and now it is literally the three I said in the podium. Everyone behind them has penalties. As hang on. Right then, lap 24 of 32. Oren leads by 1.3 seconds to Drifting, who's I thought he went into the gravel, but it was Morgan. And then Ben 94, who started P15. Any one of these three is going to win the Grand Prix. It's not going to be anyone behind with the penalties they have. Chaz, then Ridian. Eggy could still find himself P4 with the least amount of pens in the top 9. Seb finds himself in 8th as Eggy closes on Ridian, goes onto the grass around the outside. There is slight contact. Will he make the move stick? Ridian barely leaves him any space, and Eggy unfortunately spins off Ridian, who doesn't give him enough space. That one was clear, and Eggy unfortunately drops further down. Yep, Ridian's fault. And suddenly 9 seconds of pens isn't looking too bad considering the people behind. So Chaz could still hold on to this 4th place. And Eggy, if he can push enough in the last 7 laps, he might be able to gain the 3 places in front. Yeah, it's all down to Drifting now. If he can have the pace to gain on Oren, it'll be another podium for him, as is Ben, which will be great for them. But yeah, Oren looking good, like he has all race. And is only 7 laps away from taking his first victory in EXFL Tier 2. I think he's had 2 podiums to his name, so 3rd time's the charm, as Eggy unfortunately now gets a 2nd penalty. And if there was to be a safety car, Carbro would actually be looking in a pretty good place. Anyway, we look to the front. Drifting has gained a couple tenths on Oren. Chaz is all over the back of Ben. Onto the curb nearly, and Chaz loses it because of that. When Ben is just trying to race his own race. And Chaz loses time there. As they've all been separated, really. They're all spaced out now. No one's within a second of anyone because of that. So yeah, Chaz a little too quick through the corners there, and that's cost him. As Nathan fighting Horosia. No, he's not. Horosia's in the pit lane, so that promotes Nathan into the points. And Bluey's not a million miles away from him either. But obviously he has the most penalties. Ben back within a second of Drifting, who's lost half a second now to Oren. Oops. Just checking the winners. We've had 64 different winners in EXFL Tier 2 history. And at the moment, it looks like we're going to get a 65th. Either it's going to be Oren or Drifting. If Ben wins again, then stays at 64. But, yep. Seb won the opening round. Then Gekabelg won round 2. Seb won round 3. Ben won round 4. And then Morgan won round 5. We've had 4 different winners in the first 5 races. And now it seems like we're going to have 5 different winners in the first 6 races. Yeah, Oren has had 2 podiums. So yeah, this will be his 3rd. Will it be the win? It's staying at 1.7. And Drifting has got more than a second gap to Ben, as we have just over 5 laps remaining. So Rosie's lost a place. Bluey and Nathan have gained 3. Carbro is back into the points with 1. Seb is the biggest loser at the moment of the drivers who are still racing. Eggy's got 1. Frosty's got 1, even after everything they've been through. Ridian's up 7 places, but a penalty might be coming his way. I'm not sure. Chaz, after everything, is where he started. Same with Oren, but Oren's actually just been out in front the whole time. Drifting's only gained a place, but again, after everything, that's pretty good. Driver of the day, though, at the moment, it's either Oren or this guy. Ben has gone from 15th to 3rd. And in terms of tyres, well, the top 10 are all on the same kind of area of strategy. Bluey's mediums, they aren't going to last great. As Hirose is catching the back. We have a yellow. Is that Chaz? Chaz has gone off there. And he's made a mistake, which allows Ridian now up into P4. A lot of mistakes in this race from a lot of drivers, as Nathan now gets a 4th penalty. And Hirose could still find himself in the points, and will at the moment, as Bluey drops down to P12. And Oren, same gap as it was between him and Drifting. And we're running out of laps for another safety car. Ridian now gets a 4th penalty, so as long as Chaz keeps within 3 seconds, he will beat him. But Frosty, even after disconnecting, will find himself ahead of both, but also he might see a penalty coming his way. We'll need to relook at that Morgan and Frosty one. I didn't actually really see who was at fault for that. And Eggy, yeah, he can beat Ridian. It'll be close between him and Chaz. At the moment, Chaz will probably stay where he is. But again, he's been involved in an incident with Drifting. Ridian's been involved in an incident with Eggy. Frosty's been involved with an incident with Morgan. Ben, I don't think he's been involved in anything. Drifting, obviously, I said Chaz. Oren, nothing. The gap's gone down between Oren and Drifting as Frosty gets another penalty. So now Chaz is fighting for 4th. But Eggy could still get the lot of them. You never know. As Rosia does get Nathan and gets up into the points. With 3 and a bit laps to go, Drifting has got back within a second, and he's not giving this up, and the race is still on for the win. Yeah, he had that thing with Chaz. But for now, as I think Bluey might be calling it quits there. I don't know if someone's going to get the fastest pit for fastest lap at the moment. It goes to Chaz, 16.7. No one's actually kind of close to that. So Chaz, really good race pace, as he's already on the back of Ridian. And Chaz does like a bit of a move before a DRS straight. So he's going to the inside, and Ridian, the smart man he is, might have just given that so he can get the DRS. As he's in the slipstream of the Williams. But no, it goes to Chaz. So it is that green thingy, not yellow. Chaz blasting all he can to stay in front of the Ferrari. But the race is still on. Drifting versus Oren with 3 laps to go. Drifting, who's been keeping his distance at around 1.7 seconds, has now suddenly turned the heat on and has gained and is not making this smooth sailing for Oren. They are both fighting for their first Grand Prix victory in EXFL Tier 2. Alpine versus Aston. It's like Hungary 21 all over again, but it's the other way around. But this time, well, no one's got any fuel issues because we had a safety car. So, Oren versus Drifting, as Bluey gets a 25 seconds of pens now. And suddenly, Drifting's not giving this up. He had his chance in Texas, and he was going to win up until the last lap. Well, we're only a few minutes away from the last lap now. And Oren has 3 chances to hold on to the lead. Seb gets another time penalty. And actually, he's going to lose out to Carbro, I think. So, we are on the penultimate lap. Drifting. Is he close enough to Oren to mount an attack? Riding on board with the Alpine driver. Can he take the lead away from Oren? He's going to have to go to the outside. Oren goes defensive. It's Drifting versus Oren. It's Drifting into the lead for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. And with 1 and a bit laps to go, Drifting now takes the lead away from Oren. And Oren's teammate of Nathan is right there. Teammates are supposed to help one another as Chaz and Ridian swap again, as Chaz has made another mistake and Frosty gains on him. Is Nathan, unbeknownst to him, going to give Drifting DRS if they catch him in time and make sure Oren, well, it doesn't make sure, but make Oren not gain enough. Oren, who may have played this right at the moment to give him P1 on this lap so he can take P1 on the final lap. As look how much battery he's got saved up. It's double what Drifting has. It's going to be so close. One of these two is going to win the Grand Prix unless they take one another out. And Oren just has to make sure he sticks with the Alpine to reclaim P1 that he's held for so much of this race. Really another time penalty. They aren't within a second of Nathan, so Drifting's going to have to burn all his battery. We're on to the final lap, and for the second time, Drifting goes into it with a chance at victory, but this time it's Oren who's got the chance to take it away. He's going to go to the outside. He's got the DRS and he's got P1 again. The swap for the win happens on the last lap of the Grand Prix, and now Drifting's just going to try and have to do something bold to take away the victory away from Oren. His teammate pulls out to let him go, and Frosty gets in front of Chaz now, who should still probably beat the two in front of him, as Chaz now gets another penalty. So now it is pole position between the Williams and the Red Bull. And Eggy could still beat them all. Oren, who played his cards perfectly all race, came under a bit of pressure. He just wanted to still make things exciting, I guess, by having a bit of a fight with Drifting for the win. But it looked like he's been in control, like he has done for all 32 laps of this race. And it's been a while coming. We've always pondered the questions, where does Oren really fit in the grid? Is he a back marker? Is he a midfield runner? Is he a front runner? Well, he's proved himself so far this season with 2 poles to his name, 2 podiums to his name, and now he's just got 2 corners before he can claim his first victory in EXFL Tier 2. Drifting put him under so much pressure at the end, but Oren, cool, calm and calculated, has played his cards perfectly, and now he will cross the line. Oren is a Grand Prix winner in EXFL Tier 2 in Season 9. Oren comes home to take the win. Drifting P2, Ben 94 from P15 finishes on the podium, and it seems like Frosty will claim the place on Ridian and Chaz, but Eggy will beat them all for P4. Seb will come home. Will it be P8 or P9? It might actually be P8. Carbro lost a lot of time there. Yes, he has. So Seb, 21 points in front of Morgan, extends it to a win now of 25. It was not the race he was after, but he still pulls away. Herozia will get the final points, paying position. Oren wins, Drifting second, Ben third. What a podium. What a race. There you have it. Oren is a Grand Prix winner in EXFL Tier 2. Drifting came so close, but again, he has finished second, and again, he has finished 3/10 off the win. Ben, I don't think, had the pace at the end, but he set the fastest lap of the top 3. Oh my god, this race director is going to be long. Alright, there we go. Fastest lap goes to Chaz. And yeah, that's the point. No non-British podium. Right, unfortunately, I don't think I can talk to Oren, because he's obviously not Xbox. Can still talk to Drifting and Ben, though.
I'm gonna continue, because why not?
Right, big congratulations to Oren on a first EXFL Tier 2 Grand Prix victory. Unfortunately, obviously, he's not on Xbox, so we can't interview him, but I'm sure he'll enjoy his win. For now, we have just arguably as good of a drive from our P2 and P3 finishers. The only three, obviously, not to get penalties, and they finished 1, 2, and 3. And the pens didn't even matter. They all right on pace and outright will deserve where they finished. So congratulations, Ben. Congratulations, Alex. We'll start off with Alex. You went through it all, really. You qualified third. Great qualifying. And then you were fighting with Chaz at the start, and then he got you into the final couple of corners, and then into the first few corners. What happened?
Well, I'd like to think I gave him more than enough room, and still we both managed to win our track. But
it dropped you down the order a bit, and then obviously to add to that, you were behind your teammate when the safety car came out, so you had to stack, which lost you 4 places. But then you just kept out of trouble, got some moves in, and gained from those who made mistakes to find yourself back up where you were. And then you found yourself in second, so even just at that, it's a great comeback. And then when you were trailing 1.7 to Oren for a few laps, things looked a bit, quiet still. And then the last couple laps, you suddenly just got it within a second, and you gave us a real good show. Did you think the win was on?
The thing is, right, you know how I obviously overtook him on lap 31 instead of the final lap? I had Kua in my ear screaming, don't overtake him, stay behind. I should have fucking listened to him.
Yeah, because that's what Morgan did last week. You just have to stay behind. Yeah, well, it's your second podium. Of course, obviously after USA, again fighting for the win on the last run.
Both races, I lost the win by 3/10. And
I pointed that out. I know. I remember. So hopefully,
to a Scottish person.
Hopefully, when you next fight for a win, third time's the charm, and you get it. But for now, you got your first points last week, and now you got your first podium of the season this week. So things are looking on the up. Considering you were the only driver out of both Alpines and both RBs. Well, I guess Seb got a few points. You scored the most out of all 4 of them in terms of the constructors' battle.
Helping the constructors.
Exactly. I don't know why Morgan gave up. He was still going to gain on Seb. That was dumb of him. But anyway, you enjoy your podium. Very well done on the P2.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yep.
Ben, that peach of an overtake on you in turn 1, did I hit you?
Wait, did you overtake me?
Turn 1. Like lap 20.
I don't remember. It probably was fine. The one that hit me was Chaz, not you.
Shocked.
Anyway, well done, Alex, on your P2. Hopefully more is to come. Anyway, we move on to... I gotta say, it's just probably driver of the day. Ben94, you have just gone from P15 to finish third. And it's not like the penalties gave you that third. You rightfully earned it on track. What a brilliant drive from you.
Thank you.
It was so, under the radar as well. Suddenly you were 9th, suddenly you were 5th, suddenly you were on the podium. It just happened.
Different game, nothing's changed, I guess.
Crazy. I mean, what happened in qualifying then?
Well, I was doing my usual race run, then I went out for my actual lap, and then I went wide at the final corner, but I slowed down because I didn't want the penalty, invalidation. Got it anyway, and then invalidated that and next lap, so I was already done. So I thought, last place can't really be that bad, because if chaos happens in front, I'll just pick up positions. Then a safety car, suddenly P7 or P6, I don't know what happened, and controlled the pace from there. Had some good battles, and suddenly P3. So I was a bit sad that I couldn't keep up with the top 2, especially when they were battling. I still wasn't catching up. I was like, okay, cool, good pace, but not that good. But I even got a fast lap once in the race, so I'm pretty happy with that as well. So,
you were within a second of drifting at one point, and then unfortunately you just lost the DRS. And then when drifting was obviously with Oren, they got DRS, so they could pull away a bit.
That was the most annoying thing. Every time through the chicane, because I already had 2 warnings, so I wanted to be careful on the second part. And every time it's 1-0 and then a few numbers. Every single, I could not get it into the 9/10s. It was just on the edge every single time, and then it went to 1.3. That turned into 2 seconds, and then it was gone.
Yeah, very unfortunate. But 2 races so far this season, both on the podiums, an average of 20 points in both races. You got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that, especially since I am not able to compete in all races. That being said, I will not race next week because I will be visiting London again.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, well done today, and yeah, great drive from P15 to P3. It's going to be up there for comeback of the season potentially at the end.
Thank you
for the awards. But yeah, well done. Well done to Alex again, and obviously well done to Oren on getting his first win. Controlled the pace, had a little bit of fun with Alex at the end, but yeah, it was a bit of a DRS game like many races are, and Oren stayed behind on the last lap to get that win. We'll see you in 7 days' time for what? Canada? Spain? Miss it?
I hope it's Spain, so I have to miss it.
It is. It's Canada. Spain's the race
Damn
after that. But yeah, anyway, we'll see you 7 days' time for the Canadian Grand Prix.